Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 37 of Thessia, our Australia-inspired build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. In today's episode, we're going to return back to the town of Ascension as we continue to build out the waterfront in today's episode. We're also going to bring in a marina and a really nice kind of tourist information arrivals point by the ferry stop. I was also doing some unique building fusing, some nice pedestrianisation as well, and lots of green space to help tie it all together. So please enjoy the time lapse, and we'll get on with another expansion for Ascension, shall we? Hey guys, so again, Cairns is going to provide perfect inspiration for today's build. A really fun touristic waterfront, and there's some pretty kind of old style pier buildings in Cairns, and what I'm thinking we can do here to replicate that sort of vibe is to see if we can fuse together a oceanfront hotel using some of the seaside resort stuff, which should be quite a lot of fun. So we'll see just how viable this is, I think, right? So I'm going to transform a lot of this space here into car parking, again just kind of referencing the scale of Cairns here. But let's start seeing if we can fuse together a complex of these sort of red roof looking buildings, if you like, okay? So if you're missing this park, definitely one of the better ones to get. It's down below on Instant Gaming if you want to come and get it. Seaside Resorts adds a whole bunch of little kind of old worldy service assets and unit buildings in. Really good pack. So my thinking here is that we can start fusing some of this together if indeed it will allow us to. So let's find a possible angle here. How about we have a look at bringing this one in? Now we might lose some windows, but I think that's okay. If we to fuse those two porches there together, how does that look? Or we could forget about the porch fusion and then fuse the roof. We do get a little bit of fence jank there, but I think we can live with it, just for the shape of the asset. Now I don't hate that at all, actually. I think that's quite nice. I think we'll start running with this idea then. Let's also go ahead and grab a pool as well, because we can see that there is a pool behind this hotel in Cairns, so we'll definitely do some prop detailing in and around here. If I find the largest pool that I can, let's go for that one. Think. Yeah, that's not too bad. Let's dive back into the world of Seaside Resort. So there's a lot of these little red buildings I reckon we can get away with. Hotel Lafayette as well. Do we want to use this one? Well, we already got this one down here. It's the Hotel Lawrence, but I reckon we can use both. Let's use the Lawrence while we've already got it down. Now the front of this asset is this angle, isn't it? So how about we turn that 180 then? Because I'd like to use this side of the building. Again, is there a little sensible fusion here we could explore? Maybe bring these two bits of white timber together. The porches don't perfectly merge, but I'd rather the building does than the porch. Looking pretty believable, isn't it? It's not too horrific at the minute. And then I think if we can just enclose that back space off again with that wider asset, how about we just do a little 180 here? And then we've essentially got that building that we can see in Cairns. It looks to be kind of like an older style maritime pier building or something. Okay, and then we can have that in there, and we'll do some prop detailing in this space in our detailing time-lapse, of course. Almost wondering, just for the sake of mirroring, do we actually just want to stick with the two assets? And then we'll do both of them in this configuration. It's going to make the merging and getting it to be kind of a enclosed complex quite a bit easier. Okay, I think that's about as happy as we're going to get it if we're going to run with that idea. But I really like it. It really turned it into a kind of a chunky, older style hotel there on the waterfront, doesn't it? I really like that. So we'll grab all the buildings and move it. Let's go ahead and grab these ones here. And I guess we'll align it with that central spot there where we've got the pedestrian pathway going. So of course the rest of it needs a connection. So immediately within Cairns we've got a lot of car parks around here, and that's kind of what I want to have in here as well. So let's come on to our angle road length snap-ins. So we'll come out the key here. Again, I want to make sure that building's not quite 100% straight, is it? Cool. So that provides connection for two of them. Let's bring this down there for right now. And then we'll actually turn off our angle snap in here. We'll have that on there, and then we'll have a little bit of car parking run. I guess we could take it up to the top of the pedestrian road. There's probably going to be quite a bit of node work required around here as well. Yeah, so that's really what I'm after. So we can delete these frames down, start to push everything back a little bit. Because we are actually also working in a little bit of a height differentiation here as well, which you would have seen in the introduction time-lapse. Which, once it's done, will look really nice as well, seeing the town kind of climb up behind the waterfront once everything's in. So again, just to hammer home the point that a layer is always welcome in City Skylines, isn't it? You can really do a lot for the build. Cool, so let's get some larger car parking in here now for the waterfront. So really liking the car parking configuration. Is it really weird that in City Skylines some of my favourite things to build out of everything we can do is car parks? I just love taking real world inspiration from how they sit around buildings and stuff. Find it awesomely satisfying, I think. But we've now got people walking along the waterfront into the hotels, which is grand, isn't it? I really like how all this turned out. Really cool idea to use seaside resorts like that, I think, isn't it? So again, along this Cairns waterfront there's a marina, which we're going to do in a second as well. We obviously prepared that space during our road network frame episode. There's also lots of modern buildings along this area as well. So I'd love to include a unique building to reflect that. Now we've also got the train line to factor in here as well. And I think to make this make sense, we mentioned this last episode, is that, you know, we had an industrial area here, you know, maybe back in the 30s or something. You know, this was an industrial waterfront but has since been gentrified, but there's still kind of homage to the heritage that was here, you know? So why don't we see if we can bring in the locomotive halls and have the old train line kind of come up to it. So we'll worry about slopes and gradients in a second, but if we can have this come down here, I'd love to have the old train line. I also want to remove the catenaries from this as well. Go ahead and just get rid of them. Probably that entire line, actually. So if we are actually going to not have this as cargo rail anymore, we should consider another route for cargo to come into Ascension. Or we could also do it by rail again, maybe bring another rail out the port this side. We'll worry about that in a future episode though, that's not right now Egg's problem. Cool, so I think the obvious choice is to have this against the waterfront. So let's actually just replace it with Find It. So we'll have this right here, and then we'll grab that train line. Let's go for that one. So we'll have it come down here. I guess I'd also like it to be against the back of the building here. And you can almost imagine as though the locomotive hulls once was the cargo station. Bring this node back a little bit. There we go. Then we can have that in there, like that. We'll also do a little bit of network multi-slope here as well, back up to the top. 2.2%, that should be okay for the train police. I believe anything over 3% is when we start to upset them, so hopefully that's not too bad. And then we can factor that into our waterfront. And I guess we should probably link this through. Actually, will this cross a pedestrian road? Yes, it will actually, yeah, it will. And it makes quite a nice little touches on that heritage theme again, doesn't it? Although we're not perfectly level here, so I'd rather come out from 90 degrees on the road. And then can we bring that in there? I think a little bit of node controller work here, and I just want to shift our blue friend over a little bit, something like that, just to correct that slight awkwardness that's there. And then a little bit of node controller here. Can we square people off and push the rail off of the pedestrian pathway? Just so we get the lines coming through rather than the sleepers, because that's a little bit weird on the pedestrian pathway, doesn't it? Let me push that blue back a little bit as well. Yeah, something like that I can envision. We also want to commission Robert as well to remove all of the parking spaces off the locomotive hulls. We don't want those here, definitely. Let's get rid of those. Is that all of them? I think it is, isn't it? Of course, these boys are going to want a service point, so we should consider that. Now, there is still more than enough capacity within the Stanton Street service point, because this is only serving 2 small pedestrian streets, so we might as well just extend this one out. We'll have this all on the waterfront, make sure it encompasses all these buildings. Then we can sever that connection. Fabulous, then whatever we place here now we know will be able to be serviced, which is wonderful. And then we can get lots of detail in around here as well, perhaps places to observe trains, maybe some older train cars as well. Or maybe we could leave some older style train car props on here, like they are still kind of on exhibition from back in the day, right? All the freight train enthusiasts can come here and take photos of old train carts, etc. Maybe get some nice pathways along here and whatnot so people can come and take pictures and just enjoy the general vibe. But I wouldn't be totally averse to that. So we'll leave that in, we can definitely expand that during our detail time lapse. So now let's turn our attention toward the marina, because this is obviously the other big aspect of this area. Look how busy this ferry stop is as well. How's this line doing now? Do we need to perhaps review? There's still plenty of empty ferries. Let's just have a little reminder of where this actually goes now. All the way through down into the CBD, stopping at Valkyrie and the Outer Line suburbia. And then it comes all the way back through to Sentinel. We also should add a stop as well for Venezia. It makes sense for it to continue. And I guess actually, it also makes sense for it to loop all the way around now. Maybe we need to review the ferry line, add another stop into the Golden Egg Coast, bring it down through the political district, then have it sort of loop back through to stop at the Potately Botanical Garden, possibly. We'll explore that a little bit later on, I think. But either way, I'm just surprised at how busy it is. It's getting a real decent amount of use of people getting back into Ascension, which is always nice, right? Yes please, everyone. So with the marina, we currently have the pathway down here, and I'm wondering if it might be worth actually replacing this out for this style of pedestrian road here, which I believe is the bluestone one, isn't it? It is bluestone. How much does this affect our terrain if we were to draw it sort of over here? That's really going to sink into the world, so we'll grab our nodes and come back up to that same height. Now when it stops flooding, I think I do prefer the pedestrian road there, and it'll also allow us to hook it in to keep it sort of cohesive in the same size. Although what I kind of vision happening here is us using node controller to narrow the pathway a little bit. We'll see how that goes, but either way, let's get it all hooked in. You can go there. Also delete some pedestrian path and set all this at the same height as well. Cool. When we have this coming down, I want to make sure we maintain this 3-tar gap between pedestrian street and the road as well. Everyone was very much on board with this greenbelt idea. Everyone said perhaps a bit more tropical, but we'll definitely customize some of these spaces along the beach and also get some realistic beach props along here as well. But I want to make sure we maintain this 3-tar distance all the way around. We lost a little bit, but there I think we have, haven't we? Let's bring that down to here. Is where I think I want it to go. Yes, it is. And then we'll have this come up, and then we can split it off into the marina roads, and we'll also do the same thing down here again as well. Let's come on to a grid, bring that up, and then we can probably connect everyone in here, and then just recorrect how our keys sit against the marina. Fabulous, that completes the road hierarchy around here, doesn't it? And now let's use node controller to narrow these to, I want 50% of their width, maybe a little bit narrow. How about 60? Not a vast amount more different, is it? But yeah, we'll change all of these to 60% stretch. Cool, so that gives me what I want. We've just narrowed all these pathways down to 60% of their original size. We've already got people walking around this way, haven't we, to get across onto that green belt. I guess it also makes sense here as well, doesn't it, to have a link through there too. Yeah, I bet we can get some really nice cafes through here. Actually, I can already see that is a 3 deep space, which means it's going to fit a catfish cafe, which is always... Oh! Always perfect, isn't it? Absolutely ideal. Wonderful. Really love building that Ascension. A lot of fun. Easily one of the best towns I've done, I think. And how about a little kids play area as well from Park Life? That's about 3 deep as well, I think, isn't it? If my asset memory serves me correct, yes it does. So we'll have this here. There's a little bit of a kids play area by the waterfront near the cafe. And we'll do similar stuff like this as well. We'll get some props through here in our daytime time lapse. Turn this into a bit more of a welcoming space, I suppose. Look how busy it is already, man. People just flooding down to that ferry, aren't they? I'm very happy with it. There's also scope for more pedestrian service area here as well. Stanton Street service point is coming in clutch for that one. And speaking of Stanton, we also have a new billboard, which I've forgotten to mention. So Jojo Shabadoo did the design with Brad turning it into a billboard. And Thessia now has its own advertising billboard, so it can get involved with the other breweries and distilleries that are also advertising around Thessia. So you got the Thessia, he's even done like the Thessia vineyard logo in like the old kind of like black and white thing, established 1967. So cool. Like, what a wonderful billboard that is. So we'll definitely have Thessia vineyard advertising around here as well. So, of course, Ascension, big popular town. We've got Valkyrie Bitter getting their advertising in here as well. It's, of course, the home of Ascension Premium Rum. And now we've got Thessia Vineyard also advertising out here as well. Maybe I'm going to build it on the side of the ferry stop. Get some really good exposure there. See if we can get that in. Okay, so everyone's coming down and then they see the big advert for Thessia Vineyard. Perfect. So thank you, Jojo, for that. And again, Brad, for turning it into a billboard. You're all legends, guys. Really appreciate all the custom assets. And I reckon this will also be a good spot for a Thessia flag. Well, we'll have this over by the boat too. Well, Terry's all the flags in there as well. Fantastic. That is great, isn't it? But anyway, returning to the marina. Well, we got distracted by billboards. I'm wondering now, because we changed the width of the pedestrian pathway, can we actually force just how much space they take up a little bit closer toward them? Looks like the land is changing, which is what we want. I want the marina to be a little shallower than the open ocean, obviously. Let's see just how this is going to work. Let's see where that water line sits, because I don't want the marinas or the piers to be too high up off of the ground. So if we were to grab all of our C nodes and essentially just bring them down a touch just until they start to flood, and then that's going to be where we want them, isn't it? Yeah, something like that. So let's search for one of our pier assets. We'll grab a straight piece of pier first, pier number 1. Let's shut that there. Bring it down onto the same height as these nodes, which still need to bring it down a little bit. Just until we get that first sort of wooden plank exposed. Let's sort of see where we're facing here. Let's have this one right in the middle. And obviously we can bring these palettes out and patterns out in our detailing time lapse. We'll have that there, then we'll grab pier number 3, which is a lot larger than pier number 1. Set it to the same height. Let's also bring this in line with those piers as well. Yeah, it's about the same height there, is it? I think. Maybe one more, move it, step up. Something like that. That does give us our piers and doesn't make it flood either, which I'm happy with. Or are we going to flood there? Again, even if we do flood, we can always just grab everything and bring it up with move it anyway. It's not like it's a huge issue. And then I also want to grab some of our old faithful breakwater rocks as well, because these are perfect, I think, for lining the bit of sand between the water and the pathway to just have as a bit of a rocky marina. We'll have that in both sides, and of course we've got plenty of boat props. Don't forget there's also as well the Hotels and Retreats DLC also brought a bunch of sub-building boats as well that can be used here. We use them in our marina in the downtown for those that saw the episode. But there's a little sort of marina concept. We can have our piers out here that are going to sit pretty nicely on the waterline. We might as well grab a boat for proof of concept while we're here, right? If a boat, we'll just grab this little motorboat number. It should be okay. We'll have this in there. I do enjoy marina detailing. We didn't really get to do that many of them in Ilos, so we'll definitely get a lot more in Thessia, of course. And then there's a little concept, right? A little boat in the marina of Ascension, looking back over to that really old worldy hotel over there. Well, we're already kind of active boats with the ferries on the waterfront too. I really see how this area is going to piece together. Look at that ferry actions. We've actually got a queue forming. I massively dismissed ferries as a viable option of transport. I thought it'd be too far. I thought everyone would take the train. Which I'm assuming is still pretty busy. Yeah, there's a ton of people getting the steam train, the scenic railway back up to Samara, isn't there? Yeah, it's a real busy one. I love this station. Love how they actually use them all. So good. Anyway, we're getting distracted again. But the point being, Thessia's, or Ascension's public transport even, is absolutely wonderful. We'll probably do with an internal bus line as well, but I imagine we'll probably set that up when we come to properly develop the rest of the suburbia. But I don't see why we can't factor in a intercity bus station as part of this design here. Just having the waterfront, just so we've got that infrastructure in for next episode. We're going to have buses out here too. We probably want a bus depot, which seems like a good asset to integrate into our industrial area. We'll have it just on the side for right now. I imagine we'll find a more permanent home for that at some point, but just so Ascension has its own buses. Otherwise they're going to have to come from like Sentinel to get here, which is miles away. Yeah, those roads are still flooding there, aren't they? Maybe we do need to go a couple nodes up. We'll sort that out in a second. There's also some more modern structures on the waterfront around Cairns as well. I don't want it to just be this kind of oldie-wildy hotel and locomotive halls. I think a lot of the unique buildings that I would usually use in a scenario like this are all a little bit kind of too big for what I'm thinking. So I reckon a fusing of some sort, possibly from wall to wall, is going to be in order here. I reckon a bit of wall to wall commercial, and this way we can kind of make our own sort of shaped and styled modern building, can't we? Because wall to wall is so flexible for fusing. Just when you get a nice corner like this, and then we can have that right on the corner of the pier. That seems a lot more Cairns to me. I do enjoy the unique buildings, but I think in this particular scenario they're just going to be too big and too dominant compared to the rest of the assets we've got on the front. So we to have them there, we can sort of get an impression what that might look like. Yeah, much happier with that. I think we can get on board with it. Either way, just feel like we're putting for a detailed time lapse. We're going to bring in the rest of our marina. Of course, lots more piers and boats and rocks and stuff. Probably some benches here as well so people can sit and chill. And maybe even bring in an asset down here, something like a gazebo. Because I'd love to see people walking on the marina, because otherwise this is all going to be props. There's going to be no reason for them to come down here. I want some more commercial by the ferry stop, so it's kind of a bit of an arrivals point into Ascension. Maybe a little information centre over here as well. Fill out the rest of our greenbelt design with some more tropical trees, get some more parking in. More assets and a little bit of a wall-to-wall fusing to help bring in some more modern infrastructure. Lots of park space around here as well. There's a ton of parks around Cairns, so all this space here will just turn into greenbelt space. And probably get a couple of bus lines flowing as well, just so we can see the proof in the pudding, I guess. We'll get some buses flowing up and down Main Street Ascension, back to the waterfront, and back to that ferry stop as well. Otherwise, lots of fun waterfront detailing on what is a very unique blend of builds. Always get it detailed and fleshed out, and then we'll be right back. detailing review, can't we? So we'll head down Main Street, where we arrive at some commercial that's been fused in the empty space around the car park to our famous hotel. Over here on the waterfront, we've really hit some, especially kind of this perspective right here, gets some really strong Cairns vibes, which I'm really happy with. Super cool fusing of the seaside resort stuff. And also green bot space over here. I imagine we'll probably save this build here for an industrial build for a Ascension live stream when we do need to come live stream Thessia. But then our green belt comes along here against the now abandoned industrial rail that crosses over the pedestrian path. I love how just the rails come through here, not the sleepers. That's a really just simple but effective aesthetic, I think, isn't it? So really happy with that. I dropped in some fencing around the old cars that just kind of, you know, keep people off of them and just, you know, don't climb on the cars essentially. They're there for kind of historical purposes, you know, maybe as a reference to the industry of Thessia and whatnot. And that just blends in. But really nice sort of blending of themes, isn't it, with the locomotive halls. So really happy with how that turned out. Our water-wall fusing allows lots of kind of covers and awnings and tables here that are going to get used, of course, because they're all part of the building itself. It's a really interesting shaped building. It's not the first time we've fused wall-to-wall together. It's a really flexible type of zoning. Definitely one of the best things that comes with plazas and promenades. So this just sits nicely here. Again, I felt a lot of the unit buildings that would sort of work from the unit buildings menu were just a little too big for what we see in Cairns. So pretty happy with how this turned out. We've also got a hotel in here as well. There's a number of hotels that have been added to this waterfront actually. You'll see one of them over here. The City Hotel now blends in with some Aussie Rules football. We've also done a key retaining wall to help blend in that layer of height. I mentioned earlier now how you kind of look at Ascension from the waterfront. You can really see the town climb up in those different layers, can't you? From the slope up here, up to the retaining wall there, to the road sloping up. So really happy with the sort of grander picture that's also been helped to develop today as well. Really like that. Then we've got some Aussie Rules football next to our bus station, which we can now have as a bit of a transport hub for Ascension. And again, we'll feed various bus lines out of this over toward the suburbs. Once we just need buses, I think we're also going to get the aviation club out here as well over this side, because there is an airport in Cairns, but don't want an airport area just yet. And then just dropped in some more office. There's also a cryopreservatory dropped in here as well, just for a bit of death care, because we did have quite a few people dying. Bus depot sits against this road now with some more office space here just to fill out the corner. So just some nice fusing going on there, more commercial in here as well, in amongst the hotel. And we'll drop down to a skate park on the waterfront. There's also a trampoline park over here as well. Lots of activities and things to do, and sailing and I guess bouncing and skating. All around here we've also dropped in one of these hotels as well, if I can remember the name of it. It is the Mountain Lodge, which I realise isn't on a mountain, but I really like the idea of having the wooden building up against the beachfront here. I think it works in quite nicely, doesn't it? Change out that tree belt for something significantly more tropical, and again, when we do an Ascension live stream, I think what we are going to do is customise a few of these spaces with lots of prop work and have some fun outside of the hotels. And we're definitely going to keep this pedestrian way going, I think, right the way through the town. Probably keep it going through this space here, and then maybe cross it through one of the roundabouts, or just feed it through the town so that pedestrianisation just keeps flowing all the way through Ascension, which you can just see how busy it is already. Tons of people wanted to get back into from the transport option down by the ferry up to the rest of the town. It's actually taking a ton of pressure off of the sort of introductory road here, which is still flowing perfectly thanks to all the transport. The trains and the ferries are accounting for a good chunk of the people getting in and out of Ascension, which is always appreciated. So really happy to see that. Got some of our realistic functioning beach props in here, again, which is, we've seen these before in Benezia and Sentinel. We've seen these, so happy to see them make a return. Of course, really good assets, these realistic functioning beaches. They're really cool. Actually, you know, makes your beachfronts feel alive, which is really nice. Really like seeing that. Then we've also got a little plaza here on the corner with some benches and some planter work, just as a space to sit and chill and enjoy the town. With some of those Jack's Curry and Ali Fries and little ticket offices, and you know, generally maybe book some excursions from here to get out on the water. You would imagine maybe might be quite cool. In amongst the commercials had a bit of a triangle within the road frame, so a bit of surface painting, a couple of props goes a long way for that. And then coming back down the road, we arrive back at our little visitor centre here, where we do have that tourist information sign. It's like welcome and enjoy your stay, and kind of points off to various different things, which is a really cool, kind of like a bit of a tourist information spot for people getting off the bus, and indeed the ferry as well, which is just really busy now, isn't it? Look at that. Yes, please, everyone. Like, for a ferry, I'm really happy with that. Really happy. Super cool, and tons of them just choosing to take that pedestrian road back up into the town. And look at the looking down the lateral line there now for the beach town for Ascension. Really nice, isn't it? And of course, this town's going to grow much further down this coastline as well over time. So really enjoying developing Ascension. Then our commercial spills into the marina, where we've added in a little bit of a bridge here. And also had to remove some of the sailboats, because otherwise they wouldn't get under here. So it is just kind of a speedboat marina, I guess, or sort of fishing boats as well if you wanted to get under there. Of course, this heads out into the open ocean, and we've also got a gazebo down here as well, next to the lighthouse, which is attracting people, of course, so we actually see people walking in and around the marina, which is very exciting, although since I put the bridge in, not too many people are walking around this way. But I really like the marina. I love how these piers just blend seamlessly onto the pedestrian roads. And then a couple of boat props and some rocks go a really long way, don't they? Just adding a much more interesting space there. So I'm really happy with how it turned out altogether. But otherwise, guys, that is going to do it for today. And if you made it to this point in the Cities Skylines 1 video, thank you for the continued support on Cities 1 content. If you are enjoying it, likes, comments and shares below really do help me out, help show the video to more people, and help me justify the time on Cities 1 as well. So thank you for the continued support on the game. I really appreciate it, despite the fact Cities 2 is out now. Otherwise, really enjoying slowly expanding Ascension. Lots of really cool ideas to take from Cairns. And we'll definitely be in Ascension for probably 3 or 4 more episodes yet before we return to the grander CBD project in the downtown. Probably move towards the airport then, I imagine. Thessia is probably due an airport at some point soon. Massive shout out to all the patrons supporting the channel. Of course, with a special roll call to Felix Wilkinson. Thank you for being patrons. You're all absolute legends, and I really appreciate how much you guys enjoy the content to become patrons. It means the world to me, so thank you so much again, as always, every week. Otherwise, I'll shut up and leave it there. Please do enjoy those cinematics, but let's thank you all so much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.